So, what's one way to get into quality assurance without that conventional educational background? Well, I'm here to tell my story. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. This is Jonesia from QA, and my name is Imani Jones, and I'm here to tell my story of how I got into quality assurance, specifically in the clinical research sector. So, it all started when I was doing a data entry position. It was my first professional position, well, more into private industry instead of retail. So I was doing that for about a year. From that position, I realized I need to be doing a bunch of different things at once instead of just the same thing. So I learned that much about myself. A recruiter ended up reaching out to me for a quality assurance associate position. I was like, what is that? I'd never heard of that in undergrad. I never knew about quality. It was so not on my radar that this was just like something totally just insane to me. I'm just like, oh, you're considering me for this? But, coming from data entry, I was just like, you know, I need some skills. So let me level up through this position. And thankfully, they chose me for that role. They took a chance on me. And I say take a chance because I had no background in system administration of quality management systems, which was what that role was. So I had the opportunity to show what I could do. And that first year, I learned so much. Like, I was asking questions like crazy. I know I had to get on one of my coworkers' nerves because I was always asking questions. I was always trying to understand the system to the best of my abilities. And that's one of the cool things about quality assurance. Like, there's always going to be a resource there who can answer your questions because it's a field about continual learning. And that's one of my favorite things about the industry is that you can always learn something new. So when I was a system administrator, I essentially created user accounts. I worked on training, launching training, creating training curriculums, doing all those things, monitoring, tracking training to make sure people were doing the trainings, because that's a big part of compliance, which was a huge element to quality assurance. What else? Monitoring roles, making sure that we didn't go over the limit for advanced licenses, like balancing basic licenses with advanced licenses. We just did a whole bunch of stuff, and document control, processing procedures. We were part of the review process before passing it forward for um, higher up internal review. So we did a lot of different things, and it was honestly really cool because I really was able to immerse myself in the system, learn all the things I needed to. I was sending help desk tickets to the master control vendor, like, hey, it's me again. You know what to do about this? And sometimes I would figure this stuff out on my own. If a member of my team didn't know, we would usually go to the vendor. So it was a lot of learning. And honestly, if I didn't have that foundation, I wouldn't have made it 4 years in with the experience that I have now. But yeah, I actually ended up getting promoted from level 1 to level 2 my first year, which was really cool. From there, my second year, I ended up applying for a specialist position. And I remember it was like a few months, it was like earlier in the year, and I applied for the specialist position like around June, I think. And it was like January, and I'd spoken to my mentor there. I'm trying to find my purpose in this industry. Like, what could I do even to just kind of have a change of scenery within the company? And he asked, like, oh, well, what do you think of auditing? And I said, I could do that. So he put me on some audits to get some experience. It was very, very helpful. I was so scared my first audit because I was like, people are gonna think I'm horrible, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I needed to ask questions, so I took notes on all the procedures to make sure I had my questions laid out, and I did my best. It was the first time for sure. No one's perfect that very first time. I was learning. So I hope that speaks to somebody because I feel like the road to success truly is under construction. Anyway, I got to auditing. I did internal audits, study audits, remote audits, on-site audits, and we essentially were reviewing documentation. We were reviewing clinical research systems. We were going to different clinical research sites and to universities to see how their regulations are being followed, to see if any excursions happened and if they're documenting things properly. We tour the laboratories, the facilities. That's what happens when you're auditing in the name of good clinical practice, because that was the kind of auditing I was doing. But we also were applying other principles such as good laboratory practice, good shipping practices, good distribution practices, and I'll discuss that in another video to kind of get into specifics. But yeah, auditing was really interesting. But from there, a recruiter actually reached out to me again. They were saying, all right, well, we'd like a quality management specialist. And I was on a team of quality SMEs. We all had the title quality management specialist. And there was a validation team and a quality management systems team. So I was on the quality management systems team. And I was the document control specialist. So that was my area of expertise. And anytime someone needed a revision done, they could reach out to me and I would help with processing it in the master control system. And I would also review it to make sure everything was in accordance to the way that they needed their templates, the way that they needed their documents formatted. So that was something that I was doing. And I also was in charge of minor revisions. I created a tracker so that me thinking like for the future, I don't think the position exists anymore at this point, but I was thinking, oh yeah, if someone new comes along that joins the document control team, then they can use this as a reference of things that they can look for. Among other things, I was kind of adding items as I went along, but I thought that it would be really useful. So I loved that job. It was such a great opportunity. I was really excited about where we were going to go from there. I was really excited because I knew that I was going to be able to do some validation type of stuff, which was something that I hadn't really done a lot of. One thing that was in the works was we were going to be able to do QMS like for the whole organization and not just for our department. So that would have been really, really cool. Great for the resume. It just, yeah, but it's 2025. And per the administration, my role was no longer needed. So I was a part of the branch cuts, and I'll get into that in another video. My point is, I gained 4 years of experience. It was a learning experience. Like I really liked it, and it was an unconventional route that I went to even get into that field, because starting from a bachelor's in psychology and then having a master's in data analytics, which I'll get into the master's degree because I have some thoughts on that whole program and like where, like if it was even worth it. Like I want to get into that in another video. But my background, it helped me. Having that degree helped me. When I got hired on, I was contract to perm. So after my first 6 months, I got hired on permanently because, performance-wise, I was doing good. And I ended up making $5,000 more annually because I had my master's degree. So, I've got to save this for another video, but that degree helped me in that regard. So yeah, I hope that this was inspirational to someone who feels as though, where am I going? I don't want to keep doing the same thing. I hope that someone who's in a period of transition career-wise, maybe this speaks to you, maybe you'll learn something. But yeah, I think that the benefits of quality assurance weigh highly. I think I was paid very well. Considering the fluctuation depending on what company you go to. I thought it was great jumping from in the 20 an hour range to a decent salary I was very thankful, I'll tell you that much. And, other benefits, just the continual learning aspect, that there's always someone who's willing to be a resource. You're a team. We make each other stronger. I'm a person who's not afraid of asking questions, even if I sound dumb, because chances are it probably would be better that I asked than if I didn't and then something got messed up. So it's one millennial's view on that. But yeah, thank you all. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. I really hope that you got something out of this. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Have a great evening. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.